You can hear me all right?
I can hear you good. So, Mr. Sage Francis, nice to talk with you, and thank you very much for setting up this iCHAT. And there's a lot of people who will watch this who are big fans of yours out here in the UK, and they're eagerly anticipating your return.
I'm excited about that, and I'm more than grateful that you took the time to actually listen to a fan's recommendation to download my song, which then ended up on the radio right away.
Well, we should both, tip our cap to Jeff Owen, who's the guy who pick up Jeff on the Twitter. That he's big in my world right now, I'm telling you.
What's funny is that thinking back 10 years when I first started using the internet to tap into various communities to make sure people knew of my music, a lot of people in the hip-hop community would look down on that, like, oh man, he's doing the online internet nerd shit. And then 10 years later it's like,
who's laughing now?
Who's the nerd now?
So listen, what's been happening? You did some shows out West Coast. Tell us about those.
I was out. I was in California all last week performing with a band called Free Moral Agents. They're going to be my backing band on the upcoming tour for the U.S. and Canada. And they're headed by Ike Owens of the Mars Volta.
I can imagine that learning these songs must be a challenge for you and for everybody, because you've got such an incredible list of collaborators on this record, man. I mean, I read the list after I'd heard some of the tunes and was just like, oh my God, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's partially why it took so long for this album to be made. There was a lot of contributors to the record, to the songwriting.
It must have been, I guess, a little freaky at first, but so rewarding to listen back to the music as kind of more of an artist and less of a label boss and the overall thing, just to kind of be an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like it was the right time for a change like that. I'm a control freak by nature.
Really?
Yeah. So I take care of a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats, and when it came time for this, and I was really excited that it was almost beyond my control. I had no ability to actually juggle all those tasks.
Yeah.
And I had to hand over big, important things to somebody else and trust that they were going to do the right things with it.
Now, some of the collaborations on there, what's sort of one that was really special to you when you think back over the whole experience of making the record?
The first demo that I did on the record was Love the Lie, which that's a Mark LINKOUS track. And
yeah.
There was also another demo I did with him called Launchpad, which we recorded, but it didn't end up on the album, and I don't know what's going to happen with it. I think it's an incredible song. It's just we recorded more songs than we needed, so we kind of took some stuff off the record. But those were the first demos that I did, and those are what we shared with other musicians to get them interested in the concept of a record like this, because as you might imagine, a lot of cats were probably scared that they were going to be part of a novelty record. Like, their reputation's on the line just as much as mine is. And I can imagine, like, if these guys never worked with hip hop before, what kind of prejudices they have about hip hop and rap music, and like, am I really going to be talking about stuff that they hate on their music? But they kind of like entrusted me with their music, and I made the most of it, and hopefully they're all very happy with it.
What are some of the unique day-to-day challenges of running your own label and being in charge of your own destiny? Because a lot of people watching this will be inspired by you because the opportunities are out there for people to do it now. But obviously, there's it's hard work, isn't it?
Almost every day I wonder why I signed up to do it, because it's the most thankless job I've had some thankless jobs before, but running a record label during a time where people are not buying music, distributors are reluctant to distribute your stuff because stores are reluctant to hold the stuff, because fans are reluctant to buy the stuff whether they love it or not. And I don't think that independent hip hop has a smaller fan base. I just think that the people have felt they now feel entitled to free music, opportunity doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, people can still have their stuff spread and downloaded hundreds of thousands of times, but it doesn't translate into sales like it did back when it happened with me. Because people were still familiar with the process of buying music. They still liked owning CDs or even tapes. I was selling tapes back then. Vinyl is a whole other thing. I heard vinyl's selling better now, but
I'm not sure if it's the answer, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm gonna have a extra special piece of vinyl for you when I come out there.
Yeah, do it. Let's talk a little bit about when that's going to be. When are you going to be on a plane and out here? I know you got the US tour about to kick off, but
Yeah, I'm playing US and Canada May and June, and I think I'm gonna try to sneak a performance in July in the
wow,
UK.
cool, man.
So, but the other shows that I have scheduled for the UK and all of Europe are in September and October.
It's just any sort of words for the crew out here that are holding it down for you, because you got fans who are going to want to watch this.
Right. Well, I can't wait to go back out there. Someday we should talk about the problems I've had in the UK, because I think that legend has spread wildly through your parts. And I was robbed a couple times in the UK. I did have all my stuff taken from me. And during shows, backstage, people took stuff. So I had my good friend had his head busted open. We had problems with the police. But this next time I come through, I want it to be all lovely and puppy tails and ice cream.
Well, then you need to stay away from Dan Lessac and Scroobius Pip, because
they're the family, man. They're the family.
I'm joking. Shout out to those guys. Listen, thank you for your time. Have a great evening, and we'll catch up with you soon. And holler, let us know if you're coming out in July. We want to hear about it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Big up.